Financially investing in staff is a good way to leverage any stimulus and grant funds that are available. In this presentation, we will explain how and when to financially appreciate your staff, focusing on bonuses and temporary pay increases. The information contained here has been prepared by Civitas Strategies and is not intended to constitute legal, tax, or financial advice. The Civitas Strategies team has used reasonable efforts in collecting, preparing, and providing this information, but does not guarantee its accuracy, completeness, adequacy, or currency. The publication and distribution of this information are not intended to create, and receipt does not constitute, an attorney-client, or any other advisory relationship. Reproduction of this information is expressly prohibited. Only non-commercial uses of this work are permitted. For today's conversation, we will look more closely at how you can financially invest in your staff. We will examine ways you can give bonuses, what's involved with giving temporary pay increases, and how you can give retroactive and back pay. The pandemic and lingering strains on the workforce exacerbated challenges faced by childcare businesses. Owners and staff responded by working harder, putting in longer hours, and adapting to unusual circumstances and constraints. Grants and other funds you have received provide an opportunity to invest in your business and reward hardworking employees through temporary pay increases and bonuses. This also offers providers a means to attract and retain staff in a competitive job market so their business can grow. For the childcare sector, investing in staff is a critical way to ensure your business is healthy, poised to meet goals, and can continue to provide services to children and families. You may be wondering where to start with providing financial incentives and if these can be affordable in the future. To avoid long-term implications, there are several key steps to properly implementing temporary pay increases or bonuses. Here, we review the types of payrolls and how you can use bonuses and temporary pay increases to show appreciation for your staff while protecting your business's interests for the long term. Generally, there are two types of pay. Regular pay is the payroll you're familiar with, where you provide regular compensation to your staff for their work on an hourly, weekly, or annual basis. Regular payroll is taxed for income as well as unemployment, Social Security, and other programs. Supplemental pay is pay that is above and beyond regular pay and can include overtime, tips, bonuses or rewards, payments for accumulated or unused time off, severance pay, back pay, or retroactive pay increases. These wages are reported in a separate part of the W-2 that you provide your employees at the end of the year, instead of under regular wages. Supplemental pay is taxed at a different rate, and most payroll taxes are not included. Supplemental pay can be added to a regular paycheck that you issue weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, depending on your payroll cycle, or you can issue it separately. It may be helpful to issue a bonus as a separate paycheck, so it is clearly a separate income. If you are offering a temporary pay increase, include it in a weekly paycheck or as a separate retroactive paycheck. Bonuses are additional one-time funds, typically for efforts that have gone above and beyond normal expectations. Most childcare providers issue bonuses in two ways. First, many programs give bonuses as a thank you to their staff. Second, some childcare businesses are using bonuses to attract or retain staff in the current competitive job market. For example, you can give an existing employee a retention bonus if they remain at your childcare program for an additional 6 months. In the case of a new hire, a bonus could be given after the first 90 days of employment, which acts as an incentive to accept a position at your childcare program. Just like any action taken that affects pay, a bonus should have a formal written communication to your employee, either by letter or email, which includes why they are receiving the bonus, the time period it affects, how much the bonus is, and when they will receive the funds. The communication can be very simple and short, but it must record the terms of the bonus. A sample letter to an employee can be found in the tool that accompanies this presentation. If you are using a bonus as an incentive for remaining under your employment, you should also put it in writing at the time you make the commitment. Similarly, include the time period, the amount, how it will be paid out, and make sure that this payment is clearly not a guarantee. In other words, clearly state that if there is poor performance or disciplinary issues along the way, the employee forfeits the bonus. This document should contain clear caveats and stipulations. You never want to imply that a bonus is guaranteed in any way. Instead, it is always based to some degree on performance and timing. This prevents you from having to pay the bonus to an employee who underperforms, is terminated, or leaves. You will find a sample letter in the tool that accompanies this presentation. Childcare owners often ask, how much is a typical bonus? Unfortunately, there is no hard or fast rule for this. Data from the Society of Human Resource Managers, the National Association for Human Resource Professionals, indicates typical bonuses range between 5% and 20% of annual salary. However, they can be higher or lower considering circumstances. Another guide from the U.S. Small Business Administration related to the Paycheck Protection Program defines a reasonable bonus as 10% or less of the annual salary. Keep in mind there is no guidance on the frequency of bonuses, so theoretically, you can give one bonus a month for retention, or quarterly bonuses to new employees who stay with you. Research in the early education field shows that adding $1,500 a year to a child care provider's income dramatically curbs turnover. While you may or may not be able to meet this level of additional compensation, every effort you make in this area matters. More and more child care providers are using temporary pay increases to compensate employees for the additional efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as providing increased wages in a particularly competitive labor market. While temporary pay increases could have a powerful impact on ensuring staff morale and retaining staff members, they also need to be implemented carefully. You want to ensure that in no way are you making or communicating a commitment to a permanent pay increase. Once again, there should be something in writing that tells the employee clearly what the terms of this agreement are, specifically the amount of the temporary pay increase, why they are receiving it, how long it will last, and that the increase is, of course, dependent upon continued satisfactory performance. A sample letter to an employee is included in the tool that accompanies this presentation. You may want to apply bonuses and additional temporary pay increases for past time. For example, you receive funding from the state that covers current costs, plus any costs incurred from the beginning of the calendar year. If applicable, your payroll company will need to be involved to complete this action, but it's important to note there are two different types of historical pay. Back pay is used to correct mistakes that may have been made in the past. For example, you issued a payroll a month ago and then realized you forgot to include a staff member's overtime pay. Retroactive pay is paying somebody for past efforts, whether it's their salary or a bonus, but those past efforts at the time were not ones that you would have committed to pay at that level. In the first case, perhaps you have an employee who is getting paid $15 an hour and you missed 3 hours of their time last month. Well, that will mean $45 of back pay. If instead, in the second case, you have an employee who was making $15 an hour and you want to make them eligible for a temporary pay increase of $2 an hour that goes back the previous month, that would mean an additional $2 an hour of retroactive pay for that entire month. Documentation is critical for implementing bonuses or temporary pay increases effectively. Make sure that any transactions are well documented in a letter with a signed copy provided both for yourself and your employee. If the terms change for any reason, especially around a temporary pay increase, make sure you write a new letter. For example, if you get some additional grant money and you want to extend your temporary pay increase another 3 months, you will want to note that in writing a second letter stating the new terms and amending the information from the original letter. It can feel a bit tedious and does increase your paperwork, but this is an important legal protection that helps you prepare in case there is any question in the future about whether the payment was one-time, temporary, or a permanent change. Hopefully, this video has helped you understand some of the practices you can use to provide incentives and additional compensation for your staff. For more information, visit the Childcare Collaborative of Iowa website or email fmc@midsioux.org.